Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our reading of this book on the sexual revolution. The reason why I want to dig into it is so that we understand their philosophy in order to critique it and to actually take the time to see what their argument is so that we can speak from a position of knowledge, not just reading abstracts and then thinking we get the whole gist of the book, or what we call surf reading, where you just scan it quickly and you're like, I'm done. Like, no, like really going piece by piece, taking our time and comprehending what it is they're getting at so that we can actually formulate intelligent, accurate responses so that we can have a more productive dialogue concerning their philosophy. Let us begin. In an insecure and frightening economic climate, nothing seems to stimulate or threaten conventional stability so deeply as the shifting terrain of gender, writes science reporter Frank Browning in his book, The Fate of Gender. Okay, so we got a new woke book. Fate of Gender. Okay, frightening economic and insecure and frightening economic climate. Conventional stability. Conventional stability. Backlash and resentment run deeply through middle and working class white America, evidenced not least by the surge in misogynist messages that have surfaced across social media. So notice this: middle class and working class. White America. So again, I want you to remember this author is a racist. She deeply hates white people. Now, she attacked straight Christian men. Alright? Now, she's using this data of the working class to say, like, well, they don't want to switch up the gender thing. If you notice that the working class people are often really close to God, or they try to be, more often than the luxury, liberal, ivory tower, fart-sniffing classroom people who have a lot of time on their hands to just find things to get outraged about. When you are able to have too much luxury and you're not working class, you often can entertain some of the most strange things. But when you get to people who struggle and strive and have to earn their daily bread, as they say, they often have more reverence for God than someone who lives like a leech on the back of others. You look at a politician, they leech off the people and they're really corrupt. Someone who works in sanitation, goes to church on Sundays, goes to the masjid as much as they can, they are often more cognizant of the order that God wants. So you notice how she's digging at another group of people. And then misogynist content, I wonder what she means. Much of that resentment is directed at women who appear to be seeking more power than they deserve. Okay, women who are seeking more power than they deserve, she contends. Moral outrage, according to researchers, is still the predominant response to women seeking power. Wait a minute now. Moral outrage at women seeking power. What is this power? The power to kill an innocent baby in the womb? The power to weaponize the legal system against someone who you divorced or someone who you no longer want to be with? Weaponizing the HR department against a male coworker or female coworker? I don't know. What does she mean? Let's see. During the 2016 American presidential primaries, when voters were asked questions designed to remind them that many women now earn more than men, men became less likely to support Hillary Clinton. More outrage that women are taking up space in public life without apology drives a great deal of voting behavior of conservatives and neoconservatives around the world. So moral outrage that women are taking up space in public life without apology. And she contends that conservatives and neoconservatives around the world are outraged that women are in public life. Now, taking up space, this phrase is something you use when someone is not welcome there, and there's a sort of derogatory term where you feel like they don't belong. Like, oh, you're taking up space. Get out here, go do something productive. That's how we use that term, that phrase, right? I have not seen Christian conservatives conduct that behavior. Now, when we talk about the erasing of women, unfortunately, I mean, I've seen this when I remember I called into, okay, let's not even mention it, but I called into one show, a live stream. A red pill YouTuber took that clip and got mad that I said, like, I asked this Muslim intellectual, if women are allowed to work or do they just have to be home, you know? And these red pillars got very upset that I thought that some women, you know, they have to work, they have to do that. And so there are some Muslim men who think that women don't have a position in public life and they really do want to see women erased from the public life, and that their sphere is only in the house. There's no doubt about that. But she went on to use Muslims as a weapon and put them as someone teaming up with the liberals, when in reality the things that she's complaining about are also things found in Islam and also in Christianity. So she's attacking the Christians a lot, but she's ignoring the fact that Muslims actually hold that value more than Christians, which I find to be quite odd. You know, but then again, Muslim history is really wide-ranging, and so we have a lot of studying, myself included, about what role did women play, what age can you play a role. It's a very tense, heated topic, you know, with so much gray area. The difference in voting behavior between men and women is as significant, and in many nations more significant, than it is between people of color and whites. See, again, she really likes to put gender against gender, race against race, economic class against economic class. I'm going to skip through some of that voter thing. Let's see. Sorry, but it's like she's getting into Putin, and it's like, okay. Okay, conservatives, as the American journalist Amanda Marcotte writes, prefer a system where men's freedom is contingent on women's servitude. So, Amanda Marcotte, I've never heard of her. So she contends that conservatives prefer a system where men's freedoms are contingent upon women's servitude. Now we need to know, what is this servitude? They always frame being in the house with your children, running a homestead, you know, running a farm stand is somehow terrible servitude. Marcotte quotes the American Senator Josh Hawley, who believed that freedom is undesirable if it is a philosophy of liberation from family and tradition of escape from God and community, a philosophy of self-creation and unrestricted, unfettered free choice. Josh Hawley, yeah, I've heard his name quite a lot. By family and tradition, Hawley and many others mean women in their place. I mean, that's true. I think she phrased his point there. Now, a philosophy of liberation from family. Freedom is undesirable if it is a philosophy of liberation of the family. So, liberation from the family is an undesirable form of liberty he's getting at. Tradition is in gender roles, so if there's a philosophy that wants you to be free from gender roles, then he would say that that is an undesirable form of freedom. Okay. In the modern conservative imagination, the ideal of freedom was never intended to include people of color or white women. What? Modern conservatives, she says, have the ideal form of freedom in their minds that do not include in black men and don't include white women. That is some insane mental gymnastics. That is so untrue and so twisted that you at this point in the book, you gotta know you're dealing with a sophist. A person who is saying the most outlandish things to really get into the brain of their reader, to make them feel like black conservatives, Chinese conservatives, Arab conservatives, if they lived in America, right? And they're religious, they're all going to have a similar view. If you get a black man who's a Muslim and conservative from Nigeria, from Chad, from Uganda, from the Congo, he'll be more patriarchal than, I'd say, the white Christian conservative. So it's not really about race. It's about the philosophy underneath that they adhere to. And she's saying white women are not included in the conservative imagination of freedom. I mean, that's so empirically untrue because there's tons of Christian colleges, and it is very commonplace now for Christian families to send their kid off to like top schools. I mean, if you get into a good Christian family, they really are emphasize education. I don't hear many of them going the Muslim route where that are starting to say, no, tell your girls to be stay-at-home moms. Christian girls now, they go into, Catholic schools. I mean, I've never seen or heard a Christian tell their daughters not to go to college. College, like in Utah, the college recruiters come into high school and they give the young girls and everyone in the class really a talk. And Mormons are very, Brigham Young University, like they're really ready to send their kids off and have them go into the workforce. So if you just take Utah as a small sample size, and I've been to the Mormon, I used to go to the Mormon Sunday services, I went to seminary. I never heard them say that, you can't have freedom. Now, what she means by freedom is sexual degeneracy, doing OnlyFans, stuff like that. That's not the same type of freedom. These women have the ability to have a little part-time job if they wanted to at a little cafe or be a baker or whatever. Dress modestly. They have the freedom to choose what color of dress they want, what color of hat they want. Like, they have the same laws under the Constitution. If you look at there's tons of white Christian women in the MAGA movement, and they're always talking about the Constitution. There's more famous white Christian women in the MAGA movement of Trump than there is, men. I mean, I don't even, see how she can write this stuff and not feel like she's just telling too many lies. I mean, constantly you see Christian men, like, they have their wives on their social media. They take all these pregnancy pictures. They go hunting with their wives. They have these farms. The women go horseback riding alone. I mean, they're teaching their daughters to drive by like 16. What are you talking about? The only strict conservative Christian communities left are the Amish and Mennonites, and they're the extreme minority. Wealthy right-wing men wax lyrical about the importance of responsibility with the desperate confidence that comes from never having had to scrub their own toilets. and not caring to start. Now, this is such a lie. Such a filthy, filthy lie. Okay, wealthy right-wing men. She's saying that if you're a Christian conservative who's straight heterosexual man, you don't know anything about responsibility because you never scrubbed a toilet. How do you think they got wealthy? They had to go show up. Okay? It's absurd, absolutely absurd to think that these people these Christian men don't work hard. One of my uncles, he grew up with my grandma on welfare in an extreme white trash poverty. He went to college, got into logistics, did excellent, and now he's quite well financially off. Okay? If she and he's a fundamentalist Christian and he's heterosexual and he's upper class. He strived very hard, made all the right choices. I mean, he was a grinder when it came to work. Okay? He knows what it's like to have poverty, to actually know what it feels like to go to bed at night without a meal. He went from poverty to wealth. So for her to assume that everyone is just born into wealth is absurd. There are wealthy people who are down to earth, who know the common man. We can't be hateful of the rich, but we also know that many people made it there because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them permission to earn all that wealth. You still have to work hard to maintain your wealth as well. How much you have to pay in taxes is a lot of responsibility. It's a different kind of stress. Just because you're wealthy doesn't mean you're not going to suffer in some way. You'll suffer with quite a lot. And how do you know they don't do house chores at home? Or they're working on their trucks, or they're mowing their lawn, or, some wealthy men have a very nice ranch. They do farm work. They do a lot of things to keep their hands in the soil. Going hunting, going hiking, going camping, going sailing. They keep them some salt on their back, but they don't always brag about it. It's quite absurd to think that wealthy people, okay, so what about liberals, ivory tower liberals who are gay? What about wealthy gay men who hire Latina maids? What about them? You see how you can flip the script on her? I mean, gay men are more often to hire a maid service than heterosexual men, right? Some gay men prefer to be more pampered, that's just their disposition. It's fine. Because they create jobs by hiring people. The immigrants, the domestic women who need a job, who were born here or whatever, citizen or non-citizen, if you want to clean houses, that's fine to scrub a toilet. The janitors keep the schools and the elementary schools pretty clean. A lot of kids will do chores in their homes, and when they get older, they marry. Their wives can take turn cleaning, they can take turn cleaning. I get what she means, not just quite literally with scrubbing toilets. I guess she's going at the nitty-gritty of a hardcore existence of backbreaking work, right? But the classes cannot be at war with each other because the wealthy provide a lot of jobs. This is true. If someone doesn't, when I was in the restaurant industry, it's the wealthy people who tip. Cheap people don't tip. They live like $1, they ain't gonna pay nothing. The wealthy people come in, have a $300 food bill, leave you, $70 tip. That's great for you. Someone comes in, orders a cheeseburger or fries, and their meal is $20. It might give you $2. The wealthy help the service industry because they're the ones who have the money to buy everybody food or order catering. The bride industry of weddings, right? The extravagance. Wealthy people help create jobs. We need each other. We shouldn't be at each other's throats. As cultural commentator Franklin Enner has observed, when you are accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Equality. It's impossible to be fully equal. We're gonna be different in some capacity. And you cannot force equality economically or by any means at all. And so, for people sit here and whine about wealthy people having a sort of privilege they earned, we all have a privilege though. And we shouldn't hate each other for those privileges. Some people have the privilege of having a mom who isn't a drug addict like me. I have the privilege of being able to be a stay-at-home mom. Some people have the privilege of being able to ride a horse every day. Some people have the privilege of having the most luscious, full garden you could think of where they can just walk outside and grab food. Some people have the privilege of living close to where they work, being able to walk to a school, being able to walk to their gym. Some people have the privilege of 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 hands, right? There's always someone who doesn't have something. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test you by what you have and what you don't have. So you cannot get in this mindset of, I need to constantly point out your privilege so I can pull you down psychologically and convince you that I should dominate you and make you feel bad for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you because I'm envious and jealous. Right? Wealthy cattle ranchers know the plight of their workers. Some do, some don't, I understand. But everyone has their role to play. Each role has immense levels of stress, down to the dishwasher, down to the paper-pushing manager. Each person has to spend time away from their families and do something boring and deal with difficult people. Right? What a bitter woman. What a bitter woman. It's quite crazy. By the way, if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Hope to see you there, and take care.